3. There we go. Why not? Welcome to the Cafe Nightly Show. It is the 8th of April. 8th of April, 2024. Happens to be a Monday, and it's a pretty full day. It was a pretty full day of announcements today. Some caveats. Some caveats are some of the announcements were a little bit interesting. I would like to say, because we have a posting contest, a Twitter posting contest that is outside of the platform, that is not earning Spark. We have this Sparklet platform going on right now that is part of the Sparklet airdrop, where, mostly is interacting with tweets that Upwind put out, and Upwind puts out a contest, win Upix, for interacting with a post outside of Upland that's not going to be related to Sparklet. It's just interesting that it's happened this time, but it's still a great opportunity to get in. Again, the key thing here, I think the strong thing about this Sparklet drop, and we'll get into the note here, but with this Sparklet drop kind of promotion, or the way this is written for this tweet, get into the details on it, but it is, I think, is valuable for the overall goal that we're all looking at here with Sparklet and with the future of Upland. And we'll get into why that's the case, even though it may not be directly tied to your bottom line, at least not today. The Bermuda terminals, the sale is open. Registration's open. Sale is announced for tomorrow. Get into the details on that. We also have a couple more things that are worth noting. First of all, we do have the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023. Wow, way back last year, but 2023. It's been almost a year. It's getting there. It's getting close. It's getting to 9 months, and we finally have the removal of the watermarks. So that's nice. Again, that's a rights restriction thing, but we'll touch on that as well. And I don't know. What else do we have today? I think we have one other thing I did want to touch on, and just that is to keep our eye out and to look back and review and to think about for a moment what is going on for the current progress. We know we have 15 days left. The current progress of the airdrop of the Sparklet airdrop platform, how that's going, what the missions look like, and what the reality is we've learned in the last several days that we didn't know at the beginning of this airdrop campaign. So definitely worth noting there. And just a couple things to look forward to this week. Just some hints, and I definitely do want to just drop the idea to keep the eyeballs open on a couple ongoing events, one of which being, we know it's coming, but we don't know when. The AMA on Sparklet, or Spark, here in the immediate future sometime soon. We'll get into those details, or at least some speculation, or mild context there. But to kick things off, of course, gotta get it out of the way first and foremost. All views and opinions expressed by myself are mine alone. They shouldn't be taken as game strategy or financial advice that represent the game or the team of Upland. Any guests or contributors who we do have on have their own opinion, and they're welcome to it. It does represent myself, the Goldsmith, the Cafe Nightly Show. The team of Upland, the game of Upland, should be taken as game strategy or financial advice. There we go. We get out of the way fast sometimes. But let's take a look here. Let's get it shared, and let's get our eyeballs all together here on this Let Them Know About Sparklet challenge. And again, it's a challenge. We have had these challenges in Upland before. You go to Twitter, you go to Reddit, you do whatever. And if you participate, you have a chance of getting some Upix. In this case, it's 10,000. In this case, there's going to be 10 individuals who get a prize. And it's not the first time we've done it. We've been doing these 10,000 Upix prizes, again, randomly drawn from a hat for participating in things like our general in-game chat in Upland, or in Layer 1 Upland chat. We've had similar things in these flash challenges, these weekly challenges here in Discord previously. So nothing new, and nothing new that's on Twitter, because we've had some Twitter contests in the past. But what is interesting is that the actual scope, or the way this is set. So the scope of this contest, or the way this contest is set, is Upland is looking for you, or me, and all of us, to comment on a specific post that is tied to crypto. And go figure, Upland is working on a token drop at some point in the not so distant future that may involve and the very clear notation that Upland's put out is there's no guarantee that there is going to be listing or anything with direct porting into ERC20, but That's all to be figured out. That's all to be announced at a later date. But again, this is a space Upwind is moving into as far as the way they're building this airdrop with Sparklet, the way they are building this campaign with bringing people who are interested in crypto, not currently in Upwind, potentially bringing them into the Upwind side of things or the game of Upwind and using Sparklet as that tool to do so. So on all of those lines and aligning very closely with that current strategy, check out this tweet where an industry expert is looking at projects that haven't released a token yet. So this is a Twitter, little Twitter post. I'll click on that. We'll take a look at that if you are watching on YouTube. So let's see and tell them a little bit about Sparklet. This is a three-part. First, obviously, the first is here. Head over to X in the next 24 hours. So that is open right now. It did get posted earlier today, 1:40 p.m. Eastern time. And reply to the tweet linked above, and we'll get to that tweet, telling the world about Sparklet. Again, reply, say, hey, Sparklet's here. There's 2 additional rules. So part 2 of this, be sure you use the upwind me tag, the @upwind me tag, and also use the $ Sparklet. That's the $ SPARKLET tag. And then 3 is we'll select 10 people to receive 10,000 UPX each. That's simple. So let's take a look at this little bit of a post. Post is up. There it is. Post is from Kyle Chasse. Do you want a list of projects that haven't released a token yet, but will be huge players in crypto? Drop a like and tell me what projects you're looking into at the moment. So with these open posts, obviously they are clickbait, like bait. They're opportunities for people who have a platform to get new eyes. There's no big tags in there, but it is a matter of engagement. It is an opportunity for projects to shill. And that's exactly what Upwind's taking advantage of, is getting eyes on the comments. The idea that people are putting their eyes on the comments here, and that it creates a list in and of itself with what people are saying about one project or another, in this case Sparklet. And I like it. I mean, as much as it is a shill, as much as it is utilizing some incentivized tactics where people are doing something in order to have a chance of winning 10,000 UPX. And I'm sure there's other communities who are doing exactly the same things, because I've seen other communities do exactly the same things. It is interesting to see what some of the posts are from people in the community. If I was outside of Upwind and I read some of the things that people are putting, a sense they're coming from 15 different directions, and people are focusing on the things that they want to say about Sparklet, about Upwind, the way they want to promote it. It is seeing different visions and different perspectives of Upwind, different perspectives than what I have, and different perspectives than what some of the people I associate with an Upwind. It gives me an opportunity as an Upwind, or somebody who's very familiar with Spark and Sparklet and the game of Upwind, to even get a different feel and flavor for what someone on the outside might see of Upwind. Keep in mind that people don't always see everything. They see something on the entry side. And again, there's a lot of positivity here. A lot of people, if I go and scroll down, a lot of names that I'm familiar with, obviously with Danny Brown, who, obviously, it's interesting when an Upwind employee jumps in here. But again, a lot of players with things to say, big names, people who've been in the game for a long time. And it's a lot of the common names that you see out there. In many of these public discords and dialogues, and it just ends up being a pretty cool opportunity to maybe have more people see Upwind, more visibility for Sparklet. Maybe somebody's familiar with Upwind but doesn't hear anything about Sparklet yet, and that's what we're going to see over the rest of this chapter. We've into day 5 technically. We got 15 days left. I mean, not quite day 5 fully, but we've got 15 days left, and definitely worth taking that transition back and looking at what is going on as of right now. So what is going on right now for this airdrop platform? I'm going to go back and take a look so we can get back to the beginning. This is something that we've been looking at since the 4th, since Thursday. Yes, since Thursday. We've been looking at this, and this platform is, something interesting. Something interesting happened over the weekend. It is an interesting way to participate in the contest. And what happened over the weekend? Yeah, I'm still at Multiplier 4. We'll continue to see that. If that changes, you will all know because you all see it if you're watching YouTube, and you all know because I will say it because it'll be a great thing. But what happened interesting is over the weekend, we got another drop here. It said Sparklet Weekend, Spark Weekend, soon to be Sparklet Weekends, are a chance to earn extra Sparklet for joining and leveling up in Upland. A thread on what makes Spark Weekends strategic. Hashtag game by hashtag Sparklet. Hashtag NFTs. So this idea of a repost, obviously repost, comment, and like. And guess what? For a very short, limited period of time, this was there. Our 2 previous missions or challenges or posts to repost and engage with were there, and they went away. They're gone now. So we have just left. That's just one contest or just this one post, and waiting for more. We're waiting for more to come out. And when that does happen, obviously, I get an opportunity to earn some more points and get to level 1, hopefully. And then keep on moving along that line. Of course, the multiplier is a key thing here. Definitely worth noting because there's been this conversation, and we see this when I look at general and I see what people are sharing with each other and discussing. And definitely worth clarifying a couple small things. First and foremost is when I go back and I look at my multiplier, or it's right here actually. So I look at my multiplier times 4. What does that really mean? Well, I'm earning points along the way. I earn a specific amount of points for each action. If I do all my actions, I'm going to get, and here we go right here, I'm going to get a total 40 for reply, 60 for repost, 20 for like. I'm going to get a total of 120 points per mission or per post that I'm engaging with. If I do all 3, if Upwind requires all 3 of that task. And I think they're going to continue to require all 3 of those tasks. You do part of that, and let's say you don't really feel like replying, you could still get a total of 80 points for that mission. And that's the multiplier comes into play, where those points are multiplied by my multiplier. Go figure, that's the point of a multiplier. And I end up with this score, 1440. That is, again, 3 tasks that I've done at 120 points each, 360 points with multiplied by 4. Math says it's 1,440 points. So that's what we're looking at. And the question is, how do I get that multiplier? Well, that multiplier is kind of under wraps a little bit. We don't know. We don't have a table that says if this, then this, then this, or if this and this, then this, or if this and this and this, then this. But we do know that it's primarily composed of 2 main factors. How old is your account and your account's engagement? And the account's engagement we assume to be largely approximated by number of followers, and that's part of what we expect. There is some indication and been some discussion that the engagement with your posts, the engagement with your account with other accounts may have something to do with that multiplier, but ultimately that is one thing that Upland's not going to give us that information now, which ultimately I get. They can only give us so much information. Theoretically, it's how they're choosing to build their algorithm, and they don't want people to try to game the system, etc., etc. So I get that. There kind of has been a little bit of a back and forth with the community saying, okay, how many more followers do I have to get, dear Upland, if I want to get to 5 times multiplier from this 4 times multiplier? And I don't think it's necessarily that easy. I don't think it's necessarily I'm going to get 150 followers, which, under some circumstances, that seems like a lot of followers to get in a short period of time. But that's not necessarily going to be what you're going to need to go up a level. And we're going to find out here how many people do go up a level. Because I think there has been some news that at least 1 or 2 people I know of, they have stepped up a level with, growing their account, their reach over the last several weeks. So, maybe it's there. And we're 4 days into this. So maybe by the end, maybe by the time we get to the end of this chapter, we'll see some more people level up along the way. But again, the easy way to think about it is you've got the Twitter account you've got. you've got the followers you have. If you come in with a bunch of followers and you have an old account, congratulations, you've got a large multiplier here. I made my Twitter account, this particular Twitter account, around Upland. It's the reason why I have it. It has the number of followers, and I can honestly say almost everybody who follows my Twitter is following out of Upland. That's the way a lot of people have Upland Twitters. It's something I didn't start last week, but it's also something that I haven't had for 10 years because Upland's not 10 years old. With that said, I got a 4 times multiplier. That's not anything I have any shame with. People who have their personal accounts, people who have been carrying this account around for years, and they have people who follow them who aren't just people from Upland. That's good. That's, a larger reach. They have a lot of followers. That's great. They've got a lot of followers. That's larger reach. And guess what? They're going to have a higher multiplier than I do. And that's going to be something that Upland's willing to reward. Again, they have a larger reach. They have an older account. Upland's rewarding that with a higher multiplier, which means you're going to end up with more points along the way. And at the end, it means they're going to end up with more sparklet. There's only so much I can do to increase my reach in a short period of time. But hey, if you're growing your Twitter followers organically, that means these are people who want to see what you're putting out anyways. You're not doing too much follow for follow, which again, not pooping on follow for follow. It's just, there's been some history with people unfollowing and the way some of those campaigns work. But if you're growing your following organically and you're doing something in the Upland space and you're saying something that the people who are interacting or choosing to follow you during this time period it gives you the opportunity. It gives you the opportunity long term to continue to grow your outreach and the people that you reach, and potentially in the future of Upland, if we do this chapter in the future, maybe you'll have a higher multiplier. Then maybe you'll just be able to advertise what you're doing in Upland to a larger group of people. So it's not a bad thing to expand your following, your Twitter following, if you have a purely Upland account. If you have a non-purely Upland account, maybe it's your opportunity to get some people who follow you who maybe not be your best Upland friend involved in Upland, or at the very least, they're going to help you a little bit along the way. And in something that, I'm going to take a deep breath and mention, something I want to talk about more in the future, but this concept and this reality of this is part or a part of Web3. This is a part. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. It doesn't have to be your favorite thing. It could be something you don't like as much about Web3, or you don't like personally as much about the metaverse. But it's this idea of socialify. You can use your social network. You can use your social relationships. And I've always been afraid of it in the real world. I've been afraid of, working in a sales position and calling my mom or my cousin or my uncle and saying, hey, you want to buy this from me? But this is a part of Web3, and that is, using your social engagement or using your followers or people who are engaging with you to spread somebody else's news. And in this case, it's very organic. Upland's something I do a lot. It's something that I talk a lot about. I probably put more hours into talking about Upland than almost anybody. There might be a couple people put a little more time, but than almost anybody. And with that, I would be talking about Upland anyways. I'd be sharing about Upland anyways. I would be putting tweets about Upland out anyways. So for me, the idea that I'm getting a reward for doing that, and it just requires sharing what Upland is telling me to share at the time, I have no problem with that, so long as I read that tweet first and it doesn't say, hey, Goldsmith's an idiot, and it is detrimental to me in some way, shape, or form. As long as that's the case, and I read that first and I have no problem with the message that's going out, that is a part of Web3. Again, that idea that even though you're not an influencer with 78,000 followers, you are, or you do have, I should say, an influence, and you are, in a small way, a small I influencer. You have a number of people who you interact with, who listen to what you say, or are going to see what you say. Maybe they don't follow you like a cult, but maybe somebody's going to see what you say and change what they're doing on a daily basis, or interact with a company that you suggested they interact with. So with that all said, it makes sense that you are going to get at least a little slice of the advertising pie, just like if you were an or just like if you were an influencer and an advertiser was reaching out to you to talk more about their product. So that's kind of what we have going on here. Definitely worth knowing that. And Casikmar, I've started getting warnings that I am posting too much on the same thing over from the referral leak, too many hashtags over and over, especially if they are not closely related to Cascamar. If you don't mind, is that by Twitter that's warning you? Or is that, somebody in your group that's warning you? But yeah, I mean, if you use the same hashtags too many times, it makes it look like you're a bot. That's a real thing. It's been an issue in other campaigns. Realistically, I don't sit there and just slam hashtags all day long. Some people do. It does make you look like a bot, like I said. Ultimately, if you're sharing content for content's sake, Upwind saying, hey, post this once every 3 days. It's not something they're doing 5 times a day. They're not incentivizing you to post 17 times a day that says at Upwind mean is cool in the same statement 17 times a day, because that's not as good for you. It flags your account. It's not as good for Upwind. It annoys people, the crap out of people, to see the same exact message over and over and over again from the same people. But it is definitely something that if Upwind's going to have you say one message one day and 3 days later say a very similar message, and 3 days later say a similar message but not quite the same, it is not something that's going to affect your account. But it is the constant daily Casigmar of saying at Upwind me $sparklet 17 times in the same day. That is going to potentially affect your account. Or commenting on 17 posts that look exactly the same from 17 different people, that can affect or flag, I should say, flag your account for bot-like activity. So just an idea here. Definitely be careful about how you behave. There are some things like proving you're a human. I am not a robot that you may have to do every once in a while. But again, just avoid posting the same post 1,000 times, and yes, should be okay. Cascamar, I have followed 500 plus people in the last week. Well, that is a busy level of activity. So yeah, it definitely does happen. King Coyce, I think they'll allow you to follow about 400 daily before limiting you. So up to 400 new follows a day. Interesting things. And again, yes, we are running into this idea that if we are interacting with Upland on this SocialFi experiment, on this repost experiment, that this may be affecting people's accounts, people's Twitter accounts. Be careful how you engage with that. And yes, to King Cody's point, just a bunch of new follows all at once, following 50 or 100 or 200 or 300 or 400 people day after day. It may be considered or flagged as a pattern. It may flag you as a bot or as excessive activity, whatever you want to say. So definitely keep an eye. And Casimar said, I linked the policy. Okay. Not to mention the person reposting and liking everything you put out. Yeah, if one person doing that to everything you do, it does look like bot activity as well. So for sure. So keep that in mind. Not good for you, not good for Upwind necessarily to pretend you're a bot, but it definitely is something that is going to be a part of the game here, at least with the platform. And Upwind's trying not to overuse it with what we've seen. It's not a daily basis. We're not getting a new one every day. We're not getting 7 every day. It's just one post every couple of days at this point. I want some more because I want to go higher up that ladder. But, Upwind's doing their thing. I'm participating. I'm along for the ride. I'm going to get as much sparklet as I'm going to get. And if Upwind grows as a whole, that's a splash effect for me, with or without the sparklet I'm getting. But I want the sparklet as well. Spark weekends are back. Yeah, that was last week. We know about that. Here we go. There we go. That's a good one. Bermuda terminals. Registration is now open for Bermuda Island International Airport terminals on the web version of the Upwind store. Get your hands on one of these epically mysterious terminals, the gateway to Mystery Isle of Impossible Buildings. It is the gateway. It is a way to travel in. Look at that. Don't miss your chance. Head to the store for more. And I want to, I like the way Upwind puts it out there, but I'd like to put a little caveat in there. And my caveat is going to be as a as a terminal owner, do keep in mind one of your main incomes as a terminal owner is people leaving the space. So keep that in mind when that comes through. Is if people are leaving Bermuda, that's where you're going to get a little cut of the travel fees. That's good. It's nice. It's nice that's something that's part of being a terminal owner, and you get a cut when people come and land on your property. You get those send fees when people land on your property, and people use terminals quite a bit to leave. But when the people come in, as Upwind advertised, when people come in, that's not where you're really making your piece. So you're more worried about people leaving than coming in, and the time when most people leave an area is shortly after a release, and we just had a partial release. But keep in mind, there's going to be many, many more releases of Bermuda. Bermuda is going to be an isolated area. It's going to be fly in and fly out, which means it may not be the worst place to have a terminal. People, if we're going to do a couple neighborhoods at a time, people come in, people leave, come back to a couple neighborhoods. Depending on how many cycles we have of that, it might not be the worst place to have a terminal. Let's take a look at the terminal. 1.536 million OPEX. That's the cost of the terminal. That is not the cost of participation to get the terminal. It is a $1,535 USD and 99 cents cost to get the terminal. I'm going to hit registration. Yes, I understand that's a lot of money. But that is the cost of an international terminal in most cases. I will make the argument that it's in a very isolated area, but being an isolated area doesn't necessarily mean that there's less people who are going to be leaving. If people come in for quick minting opportunities, like they did for the first neighborhood, if there's a reason why people come for a short period of time and then leave again, all you care so much about is them leaving, because that's where your benefit is primarily as a terminal owner. You can have and you can put a shop on your terminal, which is good. People do get into the areas of a terminal. There's a little more congestion to be in the area of a terminal. Just float over, drive over, be in the area because you're going to interact with that transportation, of course. So that is a reality. But it's also reality that for the most part, the terminals are there for people to travel out of an area. Again, the $1,535.99 USD cost means you pay that amount. You get the property reserved for you. You get 1.536 million UPEX transferred into your account. And then you take that UPEX and you go buy that reserved airport terminal, which is great. If you don't buy that reserved airport terminal, Upwind has smartened up and they've had that lock for a shorter period of time, and that'll come back to market. And Upwind has smartened up, I believe, on the last couple of these. And instead of letting it come right back to the market, and they have a mechanism and catch it, and they can turn around if they choose to do so. And sell that some other way or through some other means. And I don't know if they're going to do it that way. They've done it with a couple terminals, couple large properties in the past. We don't know, but it definitely could be a matter of somebody getting the UPEX, not minting the property, and having it pop back on the market. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But I will just put it simply: if you want to spend $1,535.99, maybe not everyone's in the same boat as you this time around. Maybe this is your time. 9 of these available total. The sale is going to be tomorrow. Registration is open until 8 a.m. PT tomorrow, with the sale time of of a 9 a.m. PT sale time tomorrow. So keep that in mind. It's a limited registration. You register over that period of time. Once the registrations close, there's an hour where you're going to get emails, and the emails are going to tell you where you are in line. And once you know where you are in line, you decide either to go back to sleep or to go back to work or whatever the case is. Or if you're the top 50 or top 100, maybe you hang out with your very fat bank account now. Maybe not very fat bank account, but with your very hot debit or credit card, or your credit card that's going to be very hot for quick expenditure to buy that terminal. I still see value in terminals. There's a lot more in the game than they used to. The travel is much more distributed in the game than it used to be. There's a lot of arguments about valuations of terminals at this time versus what they were in the past, etc., etc., etc. But it is still a little bit of a qualifier. It's a little bit of a marker. It's a little bit of a bragging right to have a terminal. There is value in obviously the returns on the terminal. You're still getting the returns. Keep that in mind. Based on the mint price, you still get the dividends. They have an enhanced value. The enhanced value that you're getting is both send fees, because people send to the terminals, distributed among all of the terminals. So it depends on which one they choose to go to. So you can advertise. You can say, hey, come to my terminal if you want. But it's also an opportunity, and it's been going for the last 8 months, I think. I think that's where we are right now, 8 months, where they take the overall amount of sends over the course of a month. They distribute it over the 9, in this case 9, the 9 terminal owners, and each of them gets a slice of that pie. So that is a matter and a means of earnings as well. We've seen in the past, again, some of that goes to the community pool as well, but there's still a portion of that. Portion of those travel fees are going to the terminal owners. And we've seen that not been the biggest amount in the world, but keep in mind that's in addition to your dividends. That's in addition to your send fees. So really, it's better than almost any other property in the game of Upwind, short of the idea of utility or the idea of it hitting collection. But keep in mind, some neighborhoods, some airports end up being in collections as well. So that's a reality. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but it definitely is something that the real truth is it's still just fun. It's fun to go for these terminals. If it's something you're after, keep in mind that the quick flips aren't as quick and they aren't as lucrative as they used to be on terminals. So before you buy, just know what your plans are on the other side with your terminal. Okay, said enough on the terminals. I won't get it. I can guarantee I won't get in the top 50. I never do. It is what it is, and I have accepted it. A couple more things that worth keeping our eyes on, rather than getting too far down the line here. Just make sure I do touch on the couple things that I know that we need to watch out for this week. First and foremost is, let's go take a closer look at those FIFA Women's World Cup. It's not legit, it's a spotlight, sorry. Those videos have been covered up for 8, almost 9 months now. I mean, the ladies were back there doing incredible things. They're doing bicycle kicks. They're jumping across the net and, catching a ball like you wouldn't believe. They are, taking shots from midfield, and wow, it ended up in the backside of the net. That's incredible. You couldn't see it. There's a little watermark in front of it. Now you can get the watermark out of there. You can listen to the sound. You can hear the roar of the crowd. You can see the goal. You can see the save. You can see the crappy shot that went right over the crossbars, like 10 feet. What the heck are they doing? But whatever the case is, whatever your spotlight is, now we can see it better. Hey, FIFA's still there. It's still a partnership with Upwind, still technically ongoing. We don't have FIFA World Cup very often, once every 4 years. Men's and women's spaced out by about 8 months, plus or minus, spaced out by about 8 months. So, in 3 years, 2.5, 3.5, 3. We're gonna have the men's again. Just under just under 3 years. Men's will be happening again, whether or not that's something that's big enough, and whether or not the participation is similar, whether or not we see legits or something entirely different at that time. It was fun. It was fun for a short period of time. It was fun during the competition. Ultimately, people aren't jumping up and down for FIFA legits right now, but it's great to be able to see those spotlights in all their glory. It's great that the media hold, the media freeze has loosened on those. Just again, it's media rights. You have that image that is now yours as an NFT that people can now see. So it's good to see that happen. I do want to go back on a couple things and look at what is actually happening this week because it did get brought up. There's a couple key things, a couple contests this week. They have dates on. There's a couple burn mechanisms. Definitely worth keeping our eyes on. We are in the middle. We are right smack dab in the middle. We're right in the beginning, and we're just getting going into Blossom season. So in Blossom season, we do have the ornament challenge. So the ornament challenge every Thursday, we have a snapshot. That snapshot is for the leaderboard. That leaderboard is going to help tell us who is getting what at the end of the season. But during the snapshots, we're looking at the top 50. Top 50 on any of the leaderboards. There are a couple three-board leaderboards. Now, there's the Uplander and Pro leaderboard, one leaderboard for both. There's the director leaderboard, and then there is executive and chief executive leaderboard. Again, two groups together. They are going to be every Thursday. There's going to be 50 snapshot. That's the top 50. They get snapshot in the top 50 in that leaderboard. And of those 50, 10 are going to get some spark. 0.05 spark. That is for those people who like to do the math. That's 50 sparklet. With the chance to win multiple times. So you can win multiple times throughout the season. Once first week, once the third week. Who knows? But it definitely could get some spark along the way. Not a bad thing to do. So get your ornaments up if you don't have them now. 3 notes to have is obviously that we're in the Blossom season. Those are the ornaments that count. Second thing to note is it is only the ornaments that go on a collection property. You have to put them on there and leave them on there. And then the last thing worth noting or keeping in mind on the list is there is a delay in the leaderboard. So if you think and you get to the last day, you get to Thursday, you're in the morning, you're 50th place, you're 49th place, you're like, yeah. If someone comes up and they're 49th place, 48th, or 47th place, and they're ahead of you, and they get a couple ornaments up, they'll be even more ahead of you. And if there's someone behind you and they're 51st place, 52nd place, 53rd place, and you don't add any ornaments that day, that morning, and they do, maybe it looks like you're in 50th place, but maybe you just slide outside. So just keep in mind those two things as you are headed into every Thursday in Blossom season to see where you line up on that ornament decoration leaderboard. That's easy enough here. At the end of the season, each of the leaderboards, they have a first place of the leaderboard gets a Tahoe waterport property and 0.1 spark. The top 10, each of them are going to get an exclusive badge. That includes the first place. These are stackable rewards. And a collection property in a new city that will be opened during Blossom Season 2024. That means we're getting the city Blossom Season 2024. I think my 600,000 UPX means something now. Top 25, a special Blossom Season Block Explorer. Again, as I said, these are stackable. So first place still gets the Block Explorer. First place still gets the collection property in the new city, and they get the exclusive badge. So good stuff. Good stuff, easy stuff there. Again, the snapshots take place between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. PT on Thursdays. That means it's variable. It means if you're buying and selling and getting, your Blossom Season ornaments swapped around and moved around, and because you want to get rid of them as soon as you get them, I don't know what you're doing. But it is an hour period. It's not just right at 9 o'clock. So just keep that in mind. And again, the season is going to end May 15th at 9 a.m. PT. All things worth keeping in mind. We do have an event that's ongoing throughout the season. And we don't have to talk about it every single day, but definitely worth noting. The racing series is going on. Basics of this racing series, go and read them. If you want to read the rest of them, we've gone over it once or twice. Go back and watch the day of the announcement. We went into them in a little more detail. But the key things is we do have a different racing series. They are organized by the MPS, essentially the racing score of the cars or the performance score of your cars. And there's different categories along the way. You are getting points by racing in staked races. So how much points you get along the way, it depends on how many races you participate in and your position you're finishing in those different races. But of course, in order to get points, in order to be earning points along the way, you have to be participating in these staked races. So just keep that in mind. If staked races aren't your thing, maybe this contest isn't your thing this season. Just keep that in mind. It's a little different than last season. You just don't want people participating in racing and doing all the stuff and then realizing halfway through the season that they are nowhere on those leaderboards, thinking that they were, thinking they were hot crap, and then realizing they didn't get anywhere they thought they were going to get. Genesis Week 2024 Afterparty was announced last week. The Uplands dropped some new hints along the way. I'm still watching my email. I do already have tickets. I got early bird. So that was something that, you can't convince me to go because I'm already going Upland. But they keep dropping these hints that, hey, you only got 2 months left. Ooh, don't you want to go? Look at all these things that are going. Guess what the new one was? The new one, which I'm not going to get into in too much detail because that's in my email and it's identifying stuff and then all that fun stuff. But what they did get into was sparklet. So this is the first time they really said sparklet is going to be a reward for going. Last year, they didn't tell us we're going to get a car. We get a car. Last year, they didn't make a big deal about and they kind of did, actually. They told us that you would be getting a property in the city. We haven't been told we're getting a property in a large city. We could, but we weren't told that. We weren't told we were getting anything special this year. They said additional prizes and stuff. So now they're saying sparklet. So is that 0.05 or is that 50 sparklet? Is that 100 sparklet? Is that 150 sparklet? Is that 500 sparklet? Is that a variable amount of sparklet depending on my level in the game? We don't know any of those things. We don't know if it's a sparklet that I can get given just for going and then get more if I win a contest. I don't know. It could be any of those things. But they're saying sparklet. They're saying sparklet. They're not saying spark. And that's something we already talked about, is Upwind has officially said in the future, spark weekends are going to be sparklet weekends. They have already said that the in-game denomination that we currently have is going to be multiplied by 1,000. Instead of being spark, it'll be sparklet that we already know about. We know this is going to happen. It's just interesting for them to say sparklet in June, on June 5th, which is when Genesis Week is, or June 6th, actually, when the event is, because that gives us a little bit of idea of time frame. It gives us a little idea of scale. We'll at least have sparklet by then. So that's interesting and fun to see. Because we don't have sparklet just yet, even though technically speaking, we should have sparklet a little while after this chapter. No guarantee that it's going to drop immediately after the chapter, but the expectation is shortly thereafter. So we should have sparklet, we know, by early May anyways. So we'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to it. And then the one big thing that has been announced and kind of has been pushed our way is we're going to have a little bit of an AMA. We're going to have some presentation. We're going to have the opportunity to ask some questions, get some answers on sparklet. I am looking forward to it. I am thinking that I've got questions. I'd like to hear answers, but it's nice that it's happening. Upland in Q4 of 2023 talked about how that was going to be a big push. Q1 2024, Q2 2024 is Sparklet Utility, the year of Spark, and in this case, Sparklet. Sparklet is supposed to be 2024. And when we go to Genesis Week, I think Sparklet is going to be even more celebrated. And whether or not there's anything that happens about a launch of anything, I can't tell you. And we don't know. And maybe Upland doesn't even know at this point. But we do know that sparklet's going to be a theme, at least a theme in a certain way at Genesis Week 2024. Again, I'll take another swing around here one more time to say Genesis 2024 and just mention it is still time now. And as Upwind keeps reminding us and sending emails out and all of that, to keep our eyes out, because now is the time to make that decision. Tickets get more expensive, flights and hotels and all of those things getting into the city. So it may be a time to decide on participation sooner or later. I'm sure Upwind's going to send a couple more go, quick. It's time now type emails before we get quite there. But do keep that in mind. And then last thing, since we said it 3 or 4 times here, or I said it 3 or 4 times here about Sparklet, about Genesis Week. Genesis Week 2024 applications for a booth. They're done. They're closed. Finito. You wanted to apply? Too late. It's not time. Those applications are closed now, which means, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's time for Upland to make that announcement. They made those announcements on the booth space, and it was exciting, and they got people excited about Genesis Week. Get that announcement. Get ready for it. Get ready for that announcement for our third annual hackathon at Genesis Week. Upwind has kind of given some hints, and I asked the questions. I got the answers when we originally got the announcement of Genesis Week. I got an opportunity to talk to X1. We'll do a little interview. It was fun. It was pretty fresh. We got some questions in, got some answers out. But the biggest one for me, and one of the biggest ones for me, was there will be a hackathon this year. It may be a little different than what we've had in previous years. When I say different, I assume that has something to do with the scope and what is being requested and what people are going to build for Upland and the deliverable potentially. We don't know in those details, but I look forward to it. We're looking forward to learning more and seeing more and having Upland tell us what is going on there. So definitely worth keeping in mind. Definitely worth continuing to consider. What we're looking at, what we're looking for, and of course, I want to get more details on Genesis Week 2024, even if it's getting pretty close for people to make the decision. But it is that last ditch time. It's that time for Upwind to really say, "Hey, you didn't know this was happening, but it's going to be at Genesis Week this year. We've got a pool full of ice cream." Oh yeah, you eat it though. You eat it. Eating pool. But I'm looking forward to seeing some more of that ramp up between now and Genesis Week. There are a couple things. Again, we're within 2 months. We're officially within 2 months of Genesis Week 2024, and that means we get that ramp up and really get that build up of energy. Upland's gonna have an announcement at some point. I know it, where they're gonna talk about a tease. This is coming at Genesis Week 2024. Not even to get people to go, just to get people who are going to be involved with Genesis Week 2024. That includes the people who are going to participate remotely, who are going to participate virtually, digitally, that they're going to be able to participate in, how they're going to be able to participate. So lots of stuff coming with Genesis Week, lots of stuff coming with Sparklet. I'm excited. I'm keeping my eyes open, and I'm looking forward to it all. And for tonight, because it is late, I'm going to say thank you so much for being here. I do like to put a little plug in here Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. PT. It's starting conversation generally in the Upwind Cafe. We do not hit the record button right off early, right at 7 p.m. always, but we do get a hit eventually. And Monday through Friday, we do the show in the cafe on Tuesdays. In the plaza. If I say cafe one more time, in the plaza on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you are in the Upwind Plaza mood, otherwise on YouTube Monday through Friday, and of course on the Upwind original Discord cafe where a lot of this started. Love to see you there, and of course, if you are there, feel free to unmute your mics. If you're in the Upwind Discord cafe, the floor is yours.